we had seen the same thing in some respects. We knew there was going to be some sort of a contraction back after the, with the recession back really that started in 2009 through 2012. We as attorneys, we always think, hey, people are always going to need us, whether they're acts, whatever there is, people are going to come to us because they want to make money. You know what happened? In the recession, clients started settling with insurance companies directly for $500 because they were desperate. Insurance companies are so predatory. Whenever accidents were happening, they were at the door, at the scene of the accident. You're going to see that happening again this time. So I thought it was just going to be us and cockroaches that survived the last recession, that survived COVID. And I think this time we were better prepared because no matter what, as unemployment goes up, fewer people are working. As fewer people are working, fewer people are driving. As fewer people are driving, they don't crash into each other. People don't have the disposable income to go out to get ice cream after dinner. Don't crash into each other. So you're going to see, cases have dried up a bit. Absolutely, it's just slower. And so you have to either reinvent yourself, make some changes in your structure, look for other ways to grow your business. We just started doing business interruption claims around the country, hooked up with a couple friends of ours, and we're really going full blast on those, as a number of the largest firms around the country are doing. I think it's just going to force us to be better at what we do, but I think ultimately, if you do the right things, if you implement the correct plans, you will be stronger when this is all over. You have a way better business. When we saw what was happening, we have close to 500 employees. We changed one department. I basically took one major department, and the head of that department, I said, hey, congratulations, you just woke up today and you own your own law firm. So he's one of my best friends. I gave him that department, gave him the cases, here's our deal. But in a time like this, where I saw this was going to be probably a minimum 12 to 18 month type of a change in our business model, I said, hey, less overhead is income. It doesn't matter whether it's going in or coming out, it's where you are at the end. So I think that was a big thing we did. There was $300,000 a month in overhead right there. Made some other changes. I cut well over $4 million in overhead. With close to 500 employees, a $25 million a year advertising budget, we have a big overhead. And that's going to change. When the cases go down, you need to be able to restructure. Because the truth is, we're doing amazing right now because we're living off our inventory for 12 months ago. And if you turn a blind eye to what is going to happen, because there's a gestation period in our practice. Every one of us, we're only as good as that case in 6 to 12 months from now, the average time it takes to turn your average your average case, your average claims case. So we're doing fine now, but I know 6 to 12 months from now, the slowdown from this month is going to affect our income. So you need to make the adjustments now so that when you go there, it's not going to be traumatic.
Well, Glenn, great words and stuff. Everything you're going through, most of us are going through on a micro level.
Sure.
One of the things I've personally struggled with, contracting, getting expenses down for the long haul, expecting that 9 to 15 month or whatever, 6 to 12 month window when we're going to be hit income wise. From the plaintiff side, the thing I've struggled with is intake. So my thought was, hey, if the phones are ringing less, there are less people going out for the ice cream, getting the accidents, we'll need less people there. And what I'm finding, and you've done as good a job as anybody, call Glenn for a check. So people who need money still call you. How do you help the team figure out how to get the decent cases? Because the phones keep ringing, but just less monetizable cases. And that's
a lot of COVID calls. Who can I sue? I got COVID. Who can I sue?
Exactly. So
I think you're just screening through different stuff right now. It's calls, but call volume certainly went down though.
Right, but it's not as far down as monetizable cases, at least in my experience. You're getting those COVID calls. You're getting nonsense.
Absolutely. And I'm the type of person, I know you are too, Seth. I look at every call, no matter what you call me about. If you call about a cat in a tree, I still want your data. I still want your name, your address, your email, because you're a potential client. At least I was top of mind awareness for you. And you thought about us, and we want to treat you with respect. We want to make you feel like you're part of our Lerner and Rowe family now, that anything you might need in the future, we want to be able to let you know that, Zantac, there are Zantac issues. There are Elmira issues, 3M earplugs. We're going to keep sending you a little newsletter until you tell us stop bothering me.
Right. To me, it's so counterintuitive because I figured, hey, this is down, that the actual calls we're getting appear to take longer. When you have a widget and there's a car accident case, slip and fall, you know what to do with it. When it's this other stuff, training a team to be able to get through that call quickly, to, yes, extract the information so they can be part of your family. But I have found that has been one of the biggest challenges for myself. Have you done any extra training for intake, or how are you sort of getting them up to speed on the new normal?
Absolutely. We really changed our intake staff. So a lot of our mass torts, even though we do a lot of PI, obviously in Chicago, we have the largest brand in Chicago. And if people out there, if you hear me talk about this, I love the word brand. I don't like to say we're the biggest, although we do the most in our markets. All our markets are on the country. We are brand dominant, and we are the dominant player in our market, the largest advertiser, get the most cases. But I talk about it as a brand, because ultimately you're building a brand. And that's something people buy into and they trust. But in Chicago, what we've done is my Vegas people, my Arizona people, they focus mostly on personal injury, which is our bread and butter. Chicago's we have 18 people in our Chicago intake, and they're multitaskers, they're like athletes. And so we're doing our business interruption, business loss claims out of there. We'll do our mass torts out of there, and you train people. We really try to train all our people everywhere, though, to be able to multitask. I mean, an intake is an intake. It's a process. And, one thing is Greg still on the phone? Yeah, what's up? I'm sorry, Craig. Yep. Craig, if I send you a parking lot accident, do I get coffee?
Yeah, you get coffee no matter what. Anybody out of state.
I can find one of those in West Palm.
But
I am a coffee snob.
So Glenn, this is great stuff. What I want to really start by diving into, I know I sent you all these questions. Where was the light bulb moment? For those of you who don't know Glenn, I mean, maybe you've not been in one of his markets, but he legitimately is the omnipresent, household name force. We had Alexander Shannara on last week. Alexander, he's done that in Alabama. And it's crazy. I didn't know you had a larger ad budget than Shannara at 18 million. So you guys are 25. That's awesome. My question is, was there a light bulb moment where you were like in a wreck, need a check? Like, was there like, can you remember where that came up? And
I didn't come up with that. I actually own that trademark through certain legalities. I was actually using that with part of my advertising way back when. Morris Bart was part of the group at Envision, Ken Nugent, Richie Schwartz, Brian Longcar. So it's kind of like the old days. This was 20-something years ago when I first started doing this advertising. In fact, Brian Longcar, God rest his soul, is he's the one who actually helped me out in the very beginning. And the reason why I speak to so many attorneys and try to go out to people's offices and help them is because, I've been practicing 29 years, but 22 years ago, he welcomed me into his office and showed me his processes and what we were doing. Because I had no clue what I was doing as a personal injury attorney. I had a lady that came into my office. She was working for me. And she said, hey, this guy in Texas I used to work for, he's got something that I think it would work for you on TV. And, so our first month on TV in Vegas, we spent $10,000 going, one call, that's all. I got 66 clients. Imagine if we could keep that 66 signed cases, PI cases. Imagine if we could do that. Unfortunately, it's this horrible bell curve, So the cost per case, $166 per signed case 20-something years ago. That'd be a dream right now. It's a competitive business. So I think this is probably one of the most competitive businesses in the world. And I think anybody that's involved in, especially some of these markets that are ultra competitive, like Vegas, Alex's market, Birmingham, Atlanta, Baton Rouge, those are 4 of the most competitive markets in the United States. And the reason is you can be just some schmo like me, Seth, Craig, anybody. You don't have to run a 4.40, dunk a basketball, yet you can get paid like a pro athlete. If some poor schlub walking down the street gets hit by a truck and his friend's uncle's grandmother's girlfriend's podiatrist says, hey, call Craig Goldenfarb, call Glen Lerner. You went from being a nobody in your market to you just got a $5-10 million case, and you say, hey, I just made $2 million. You probably should have made $4 million. Probably should have done twice as good. You got a case that was too big for you probably in the beginning. But at the same time, you say, I'm going to go compete with Glenn or John Morgan or Richie Schwartz, or Morris Bart, or Alex Shannara. And that's why it gets so competitive. People, if they're smart, they settle a few big cases and they say, let me give it a shot. But that landscape's changing. You know, TV absolutely set the bar for so long. Because think about what our business model is. Our business model is going out and appealing to people that haven't had access to attorneys. Am I going to call me?
Yeah.
I mean, in all humility, I'm great at what I do. I've represented over 150,000 people. I kind of know what I'm doing now, but I've made a lot of mistakes. To the people I've made mistakes to, sorry. But the truth is, you learn, you get better. It's all this experience.
Yeah.
And so you have the ability to build this business from TV where the people that don't have access to attorneys, you know, the average guy watching Jerry Springer, which I think all of us built our business starting with Jerry Springer, they don't have lawyers that they're friends with. They don't have accountants that have lawyers that they're friends with. They don't have doctor friends that have lawyers. So what do? They react to what they see on TV. And they go with the people that they find more approachable or likable. But I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's gonna call me. Else I'd have 100% of the market, and I don't. And so, I'm fine with that.
We're getting a lot of questions here. We have a lot of people in the chat, and this is insane to me. But I understand your point, guys. We're gonna talk about. I don't know if you guys saw about people asking to pivot it towards smaller law firms, but I want to zoom out for 1 second, everyone. Like, you're hearing from someone who has almost 500 staff, 25 million a year ad budget, okay, advertising budget, spinning off departments, creating other law firms during this, okay? You need to be picking out the gems. This is what you need to hear as a small law firm. You do not need to listen to other small law firms right now. You need to listen to the opposite of that. So find the gems in what Glenn is saying right now. With that being said, Glenn, put yourself back 20 years ago when you were, self-started, just getting started. Like, how the hell did you, let's talk about phases of growth. Let's talk about that first phase of growth. I don't know where you started. Maybe you could talk about that really quick. But, going from 1 or 2 staff to that next level, what is it? And what the hell made you not stop beyond that? But let's just zoom in on the first level of law firm growth.
Well, I think I actually started, I could never work for anybody. So 29 years ago, I actually, for 2 months, I worked for a firm called Budget Legal. And after 2 months, I was like, I can't work for anybody. I'm a wild man. So I ended up I bought the firm from the guy. Within 6 months, I went bankrupt. He had taken all the fees, but he had done none of the work. And so I honored all the contracts that people had signed, but I could not support it. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I came out of the bankruptcy, and I learned how to start running a business better. I took Budget Legal, grew it up to, 5, 6 attorneys and 20-something people. And I was making a nice little living. And so I realized the one area of law that I could make way more than hourly wages, like at McDonald's. I was doing divorces and doing all this stuff, and I couldn't charge people. I grew up different. I grew up with a father in jail for double murder. I grew up on welfare. So I couldn't turn people down. I did a murder trial for $3,000. I couldn't turn people down. And it wasn't a good model for me. I needed to do contingency type cases. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, I think this is something I'll pursue. And that's how I ended up 7 years later hooking up with Brian Loncar in 1998 and started the advertising. And we only had a few people back then. I really cut the firm back down. That's when my partner, Kevin Rowe, started working with me. And
so I saw you kind of gloss over. Okay, I don't know if anyone heard this. All right. So sometimes it comes easy. I'm like asking Michael Jordan, like, wait, how did you just move your elbow like a centimeter, right? So I asked you about the early stage, right? And you were like, yeah, one sentence is how you explain it. You're like, yeah, I went to 5 or 6 attorneys. And I'm talking about going from zero, like just you, to 5 or 6 attorneys, right? And I know it must come naturally to you being an entrepreneurial thinker, but how did you do that so fast? How were you in that business owner category that Craig talked about versus the, order taking attorney that's always a...
It's an allocation of, I mean, everything in life is allocation of resources. Time is the only commodity we cannot create more of. So if you're trying to figure out how to create more time for yourself in your life, I have 4 kids, you want to spend time with your wife, have a life, then you need to be able to employ people, engage people, get people engaged in your process, and give them a common vision and a goal. Are you going to make as much money in your pocket right now? No, because you have to pay wages. But ultimately, depending upon what your vision is, you can get people all going for a common goal that they can enact your vision, and ultimately you're going to do far better. And you can, one of the nicest things for us is that it's a wonderful thing to have employees. And I'm a steward. Because of my faith, I'm really into the Christian concept of stewardship. So I take my responsibility as a boss really seriously. I love being a boss. I love making a difference in people's lives. At our office Christmas party, just our Arizona office Christmas party, we have nearly 400 people show up. That's an amazing thing when people come up. And one thing I always tell everybody at the Christmas party, watch how you act, because I take mental notes. I don't drink or anything, and I watch everybody. And I love to see the people that get really drunk and act stupid, because I take a mental note on that. But they come up and they're drunk and they're dribbling. I love my job so much. You guys are the greatest bosses ever. That means a lot to me. Of course, you're still on my list because you were a drunken fool, but.
So let's talk about this real quick. If I were to give you $100 right now, and you were able to break that up in percentage chunks, and you put yourself back to most of the people on this call, 10 or less attorneys. Let's even say 6 or less attorneys. I hand you a $100 bill. Now I'm saying percentage wise. I know we can't get anything with $100, but how would you divide that up in terms of spending money?
The hardest part of this business now is seeing that where we had such a strong competitive advantage over the years was TV. We had built up this war chest. I was smart, and I won't give myself credit for anything, but I was smart. I kept putting all the money I made in the beginning back into the business and kept growing the business as we settled, kept putting it back into the business, and it was always TV. TV obviously was king forever until the advent of the internet. And bit by bit, the internet's been chipping away every year, 1-2%. Now it's almost 50-50. Is it TV? Is it internet? The hardest part about the internet, online marketing, just organic search engine optimization. Everybody says, except no disrespect, everybody's the authority. Everybody knows. And there is no real barometer. I mean, we're happy with whatever we get. What is your price per lead? It's such uncharted territory still, because it changes every day. With TV, you had certain metrics. What's my cost per case? How many calls are we getting? And these are things we were so used to. It's so difficult to track exactly what's coming, because online is so many different mediums in aggregate. Your organic, combined with your search engine optimization, maybe some little reels that you have running on news online, and it all creates some sort of online juggernaut. But at the same time, it's so hard, because I'm kind of, I don't think I'm old, but after 29 years, I'm kind of like part of the old guard in advertising now. And it's hard to let go of TV. And for guys like me, where you've been so dominant on TV, we're the #1 TV advertiser in, Vegas, Phoenix, Tucson, Chicago, New Mexico, Albuquerque, when we formed great brands, dominant brands in terms of the numbers, we can see that, yet anybody on this call right now can compete with us online.
So here's a question.
I put up that $100 online right now, because it's the quickest way. TV, radio, billboards, they build a brand, but it takes money. It takes time. It takes intestinal fortitude. How long can you hold on? Do you have what it takes to be able to keep pumping that money and don't see results, but you're building that top of mind awareness, that brand that I talk about? Online, if you can, whatever. I mean, there are all sorts of scams to get to the top of the list, and eventually the new algorithm will kick you out. But you want to go, are you just a get-rich-quick guy? I'm not a get-rich-quick guy. I've always been a foundation guy. And so I want to build that foundation, but you can't do it any longer without having a strong digital presence. Absolutely.
So our last question,
digital.
Glenn, unbelievable answers here. I wish I could take even more notes, but I'm also
sorry. I talk fast. I'm from Boston.
So I think the last question here before we dive into Q&A, everyone get ready. We are at our Q&A time in about 1 minute. The last question I have for you, Glenn, if someone like Craig, for example, someone like Seth, going from, think about, and this should apply to everyone, whether they're a family law attorney, criminal defense. We have a lot of family law on this call. We have, personal injuries, our largest segment. But regardless, I want to know two things. First of all, what is your most important habit to growing a successful firm the way you have? And then secondly, as a backup to that, what is the thing that everyone on this call, I'm confident no one on this call has gotten to where you're at in revenue. What is the thing that needs to be given up, that lawyers need to let go of, that we're missing? So what's your most important habit, and what's the most important thing to let go of?
I think they go hand in hand. I think you need to be able to delegate. Like Craig stated, you can't grow a business if you can't delegate. You need to be able to trust people. You need to realize people are going to make mistakes. I'm cool with it. I know you're going to make a mistake as long as it's not stuff intentional. And when you make that mistake, you use it as a teaching tool that you get better and you learn from it. If people, you have the same individual and you keep having complaints, you're not returning client calls, and you discuss that with them, then you're out of the circle of trust, bro. You're gone. I mean, you can't hurt, because, I once had a lady that worked for me. I'm not going to say her name, just say her name's Joanne. Joanne I just saw something in her she didn't see in herself. And that's my problem, because I see things in people. Unfortunately, they don't see it in themselves. My job at my place, working with us, the people in their positions, the vast majority of them, that is their ceiling. And that's great then. I want to make this the best job you can have. But if this job is your floor, I'm going to tell you, hey, I know you can be so much more in life than this, and I think you're just taking a check. You can be me. You can be whatever you want to be. But some people are worker bees, and some people have a different type of a spirit. But I can see that in people, and I'm good at delegating. I'm good at letting people mess up as long as they learn from it. Now, the key to running a business, and I'm 100% positive, I'm so blessed to have such a great partner, because it's not just Glen Lerner around the country anymore. It's Lerner and Rowe, as it has been in Arizona for 15 years. And Kevin Kevin's like, you complete me. Kevin is he's very different than I am. And I think Seth knows Kevin. It's just, we're different people. I'm the televangelist with a law degree, and Kevin is just that guy in the corner office. Kevin can't go to sleep if there's one customer complaint, if there's one bad online review. And I joke with everybody, the reason I sleep like a baby every night, because I know Kevin's up not sleeping. So you need to not micromanage. Micromanaging kills the entrepreneurial spirit, kills your business. Implement processes. Train people. And if I have 1 more minute, I'm a Boston boy. I was going to wear my Patriots hat, but I'm a little scared of what the season could look like this year with Jarrett Stidham. But I'm a Jarrett Stidham fan now. But I believe that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick could lead any Fortune 500 company. And the reason why, everything with them is about a process. Follow the process. In all of our offices around the country, we have a culture. When we have an amazing culture. Anybody that's been in our office, invariably, any attorney that comes, we help, they come see our business, our intake, our people. There's a culture that's so unique. We've defined a process for these people. We give them every opportunity to succeed. If you just throw people in somewhere and you ask them to accomplish a task without engaging them in this process, you're setting people up for failure, And so, I'm Bill Belichick, man. do your job. I'm going to give you every opportunity to succeed. We're going to give you all the tools. We're going to give you the best coaches. But ultimately, you have to do your job. And and one other word, make sure you have lots of levels of accountability. Right, Craig?
Absolutely. Accountability.
Accountability is my favorite word in a business. People have to be accountable. Because if you don't have accountability and you have X number of people on one level doing the same task, and if you have somebody at the end here that's just not towing the line, what it does, it pulls everybody else down. Because you keep that person, if you reward incompetence and the people that's striving for excellence see that, and ultimately you got them, and you lose the whole team.